Hello, this is Jason P. Wilson Zero in X-Force, and this is my DC and independent comic poll list for the weeks. This is multiple weeks of November 23rd, November 30th, and week of December 7th. So, 3 weeks of comics in one review. I did the same thing for my Marvels. I'm now doing it for my DCs. Now, it's a much, much smaller stack of DC than Marvel. DC took a little break and didn't release too much during the Thanksgiving holiday season here, but they're now starting to put them out again. Marvel didn't seem to slow down at all, so that was probably a good thing because it's taken me 3 weeks for my next posting. Also, I mentioned this in my Marvel posting, but I didn't do a pick of the week at all for the last posting that I had. So instead of doing an individual one and then another one, I'm just going to do a full month, 4 weeks of pick of the month instead of pick of the week. So I'm going to pull out my favorite comics that came out since my last posting, including my last posting, and basically my last 2 postings of each comic group. Those would be combined into one comic pick of the month. So the main reason that is the holidays are really busy for me. A lot of stuff was going on. I really just didn't have the time, though I made the time, of course, to read these books. And I have to say, they've been very, very great books. I really enjoyed my Marvel, and I enjoyed my DCs even more. I just wish there was more of my DCs. But at the same time, I'm okay with it because, it was better to spend less money on comics because I have to get Christmas gifts. So, with that said, let's go ahead and dive into my DCs. And starting here with Action Comics Superman number 4. This is a great comic. It's possibly my favorite so far. Now, I mentioned this in my last posting 3 weeks ago, but that is the best compliment I can give to any book. And I seem to be saying that for every every DC book that I've been reading lately. They get better and better and better and better. And as strong as the Marvels are, they can't take anything away from how strong and how great these DCs are. Number 4 has a lot of cool things happening in it. You see here it says Debut of Steel on the front. It's very unique and very different, and I like it. I think Grant Morrison is doing a really good job. And, wow, he's just hitting it out of the park for me for Superman Action Comics. This is a must-read comic for any DC fan. Great, great book. Even if you're not a DC fan, at this point, if you can't find the first few issues, or if you just want to read a really good comic book, whether you're into Superman or not, this is definitely a great comic run to read. And when it comes out on trade, if you want to wait for trade, that's fine, but you really should read it. An excellent comic book. Next up here is one of my personal favorites, and that is Batman Detective Comics number 4. Who Pulls the Strings of Gotham? Okay, I've been really into Batman forever, but I've just been really enjoying Batman stuff as of late. I posted this a while ago, but I got my first Xbox, and one of the first one of the first games that I picked up was, of course, Batman Arkham City. Now, I played the first game, Arkham Asylum, and I loved it. Played with a friend of mine. But this is the first one that I've just played on my own, and man, it's such a great, great video game, and it's just really made me into everything Batman, even more so than I already am. So, reading this comic, I just really enjoyed it. It's very strong. It's going in a direction that I like. I think Tony Daniel here has done a great job taking the legendary comic of Detective and truly putting out a AAA title. This is a great comic book, and I really like this new villain. I really like the writing, and I love the artwork. I can't recommend this enough to any Batman fan. And if you're not a Batman fan, just know here that it's very Batman. Except for it's also very dark. Now Batman's always dark, but this takes it to a really edgy level. And for me, I think it's great. I really like this comic, and it's definitely one of my favorites. Next up here is DC's Huntress number 3. This is a limited run, but it's a very long limited run, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's coming out quite quickly, so it might not even last as long as I thought it would. This is probably the best issue so far. Again, I say that a lot with my DCs, but I have to say it's just getting really strong, and I just cannot wait for issue number 4, especially where this left off. As much as a Huntress fan that I've always been, this really makes me like Huntress even more. I like the new take on her. I like the things they kept, and I like the things they changed up. It's working for me, and the artwork is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best drawn comics that DC puts out. Now, I haven't read the Penguin one, but I've heard great things about it. But I will say this, I will pick it up on trade because I heard so many things about it being great. But I have to say to any of you who did not pick up Huntress, definitely pick it up on trade. I've been saying that a lot, but it's true. Even if you've never read the Huntress before, it's a great time to pick up the Huntress because this is pretty much introducing the Huntress to people that have never read her before. At the same time, if you know her, this is still great because it's a new take on her, so it works. A very strong limited run from DC. Next up here is Aquaman number 3. And the Cannibals of the Deep. Pretty cool. The action has really hit the fan in issue number 3. It's strong. I say it's just as strong as the last 2 issues. It's definitely, like all of the DCs, getting better as it goes. Aquaman has a very unique feel, and it's a comic that I really want to keep. I think John's doing a great job, and I like the artwork. Sometimes the artwork is stronger than other times, but it's still pretty well consistent. It doesn't really change too much. It's a very strong comic, and if you haven't been reading Aquaman, you don't know what you're missing. It's not what you think. It's a great book, and it's a great comic, and you should be reading it. Now, this next DC I have, I'm actually going to be talking about issues number 2 and 3. I halted Voodoo at first. I read the first issue. I decided, okay, I'm going to stop. I have too many. I've got to just stop. So I did. Yeah, but then, I reread the first issue, and I thought to myself, wow, you know what? I really want to know what's going on. I really want to know how this is going. So I picked up issues 2 and 3, and then I quickly added it back on my saver. This is officially back on my saver now. Why? Why did I drop Voodoo and then pick it up again? This is why. Beautiful, unique artwork. A very interesting and beautifully drawn main character. She is now interacting with the DC universe. I thought it might be a standalone, kind of like X-23 character study type thing, but no. They're introducing her in a big way. And I thought to myself, you know what? I really want to know what's happening, at the very least. But once I read issues number 2 and 3, I was hooked. It has gotten quite a bit better. I thought the first issue was good, but I was like, no, I can totally just not get into this. But after reading issues 2 and 3, I am totally into it now. Again, the artwork is beautiful. It's almost like pencils and pastels. I don't know how they're doing it, but it works. Also, at first, I wasn't sure about the whole Voodoo being a full-on alien, where originally she just had that part alien thing going on. So I think she's a hybrid. So yeah, now she's like a full-on alien. So I wasn't sure if I was liking that. But it's written well. And, I've heard a lot about this writer starting slow, so she's best to pick up on trade. And that's kind of what I was going to do. But at issue number 3, I think the pacing is very good. And I like where it's gone. And I like where it's going. So Voodoo definitely for me is one of the ones that I'm reading. There are other books that I stopped reading that I know are fantastic. And I know they're good. So I don't want to pick them up anymore because I don't want to get super hooked on them. But Voodoo was the one that I went ahead and did, and now I am. So Voodoo is a very good series. It says Team Plus. I think it's probably M rating. At least the first couple issues were. But it's very strong. It's very good. And Voodoo has a place in my saver. Because 3 issues now, and I love this character. She's so cool, and I really like her. Next up here for my my DCs is Young Justice. Now, I made a deal with myself saying that if I'm going to add a comic, I have to take away a comic. And that's what I did. I really like Young Justice. It's a fun comic. But I was going to be sharing these comics or giving them to my nephew and niece. So I figured, oh, you know what? It's a good time to stop. Since I'm going to be giving these to my nephew and niece. I think they're a really good comic and a good read. 10 issues in. And the next issue looked like a really good one too. It's going to be concentrating on Robin and Batman and Ghoul, I believe. So I was looking forward to that one. But for my comic store, if it's not in my saver, I don't believe they get it. So I will keep my eye out for it. And I will pick that one up if I see it. But I've officially taken it out of my saver. And it's definitely one that I'm going to be missing. And I do not believe these will come out on trade. So that was one of the reasons why I really held on to this. It was a really fun, family-friendly comic that fit into one of my favorite animated ongoing series. So I just wanted to keep it just for nostalgia and because it was fun. It was a super fast read, like I mentioned 1,000 times before, but it was just so fun. And, sometimes I really like reading comics that aren't so serious. Just comics that are like I read when I was a little kid. So that's what this was. At the same time, it had a lot of great fit-ins to the show. But I had to make my deal, so I added Voodoo, which means I had to take away Young Justice. But I didn't take it away for any negative reasons whatsoever. It's just I have to keep it at a certain number for myself. So unless I find the next issue on the rack, this will probably be my last issue. And those are my DCs. And now for my one and only independent. If you can believe it, a whole month went by and only one of my independents came out. But it was one of my favorites. Now, the first 2 issues came out of Shinku. And that was it. I did not see another issue forever. And I thought to myself, wow, this sucks. I really like the first 3 issues. And there's no way that they are still coming out because it has been way too long. It was so long that I don't even remember how long it was. All I know is that the other series that I was getting that were limited runs came to their conclusion and have been gone for a long time, yet they started at the same time. So it's been a while. But Shinku number 3 is finally out. And it was worth the wait, though I don't want to wait that long for issue number 4. Now, as far as I know, Shinku is an ongoing series. So I don't know if that is going to continue to be such a slow book. Or maybe they're now turning it into a limited run. That I have not heard. But I really like this book. It's definitely an M-rater, very violent, but it's a really cool take on vampire and vampire slayers. Image has starting to become one of my favorite books, comic companies. I really like how they put out their books. I don't like that this one is this slow, but I love the colors. I love the story. I love the characters, and I love that it's no holds barred. They do not hold back. It's definitely an M book, but for vampires, it works and it makes it better because of it. It doesn't do it just to be shocking. It does it because it works. Shinku number 3 is a great book. It's probably a hard book to find. You're probably not going to find issues 1 and 2, and that's too bad because hopefully this comes out on trade. I don't really know how good Image is on books like this to come out on trade. Some issues are really good, like they pop out. Morning Glories really quickly on trades at a cheap price, and some of their other popular books. I do believe I'm going to start putting Walking Dead in my collection. I picked up that big, thick, volume that had 1 through 48, and I think I'm picking up issues 89 to the current, and I will have to wait to read those because I have to wait for the second super big volume to come out, and that will get me caught up. And I think it's supposed to come out relatively soon, so I will be getting those books. As of now, it's in my saver. I haven't physically picked them up yet, but I have those last three issues in my saver. And the reason is I love Image's no advertisements or very light advertisements in their books. It really makes me want to pick them up over other books because I'm getting, I'm paying $2.99. I'm getting all comic, and I absolutely love that. It's still hard for me to cut back on my Marvel and DC to make more room for Image. And if I'm going to be making cuts, it would be towards the Marvel side and not so much towards my DC side. But for what I'm reading now of Image, I absolutely love their books. There's definitely some new series coming out that I'm very interested in, like this new kind of like Terra Nova type theme of a comic book where you see soldiers fighting dinosaurs type thing, but it looks like a really cool book. There's also another kind of superhero book. It seems to be a mature read that looks really interesting. So there's a lot coming out in the future of Image that I'm very into, and I definitely need to keep my eye out for that. At the same time, I like what they're putting out now. I like to jump on at issue number 1, and I don't usually like to pick up a series after it's already been out for a while because I always think that I'm missing something. I really hope that Shinku continues to go forward because it's a really strong book. Though I don't know at this point if it's just going to become a limited run or not. But I love it. I really could recommend it strongly to anyone who's into this type of theme, or even if you want to try something different. This is a great book to pick up. I just don't know how hard it will be to find the first 2 issues. But if it comes out on trade, if you see it on trade in the future, I definitely recommend you pick it up. And with that said, those are my DC and independent comics for this last 3 weeks. I do want to mention that I will be posting my picks of the week in one bundle, meaning that it'll be pick of the month, and that is the last 3 weeks that I just showed, as well as the posting before that, which I posted comics for that week. I just never did a pick of the week, so they will be put into my pick of the month. And with that said, I'm really curious which books you kept in our reading of the DCs for this holiday season, if you've been happy with your holiday season books, and which independents are you guys reading. Especially any recommendations you guys have for any Image books, and which spot I should jump on at. And with that said, those are my comics for this last 3 weeks, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.